And, it's really interesting how there's this industry of celebrity. Where'd you come up with this idea?
I was getting my MBA, and I had a instructor who was brilliant and great. And I was talking to him about career advice and what I should do after school. And I came to him one day and I was like, "Hey, Michael, I think I found my next job." And he's like, "Oh, David, great. What?" I was like, "Well, that next job kind of involves you." He's like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "What if I come work for you? I will help you invest in startups," because he ran a venture capital firm here in the Bay Area,
Hmm.
and he was just to teach at school, to help give back, and he said yes. So after school, I went and worked for him. I was investing in startups, and after a while, I'll be honest with you, Nathan, I didn't like it that much.
Yeah.
Um, um, and so I went to him and I was like, "Hey, thanks. Hey, thanks, but I'm going to quit. I think there's a little bit of shock and surprise." And he's like, "What are you gonna do?" I was like, "I'm gonna go start something." And he's like, "What?" I said, "I'm not sure." And he's like, "Why don't you ask me for funding?" I was like, "Wait, what? I don't have an idea or a team." He's like, "Ask me." I was like, "Okay, I would love some funding." And he goes deal, and he invested just under $500,000, and basically said, "I need to go think of an idea."
Hmm.
And
Wow.
it was amazing. I was honored. I was thrilled, and Nathan, I was terrified.
Uh-huh. Sure.
All within the span of 10 seconds. And so it seems like a great opportunity, a amazing gift and chance, and it was. But I also felt immense amount of pressure.
Yeah.
I knew this was a once in a lifetime chance. I did not want to mess it up. There's no right way to think of a great idea. There is no proven way to do it. Everybody has their own approach, ways to approach it.
Yeah.
And it actually became a dark time in my life.
Interesting.
I probably spent a year. And the reason it became dark is you feel the self-imposed responsibility or pressure, and you can't complain about it to anybody because you're not going to get any grain of empathy,
No.
right? So you really can't complain about it. And it makes you think inside, okay, what am I made of, right? And I tried all different ways to approach it, things that, needs I have, trends you see, things I have depth in.
Hmm.
And you ask for lots of help and advice and thoughts, but sometimes that actually hurts you because everyone has their own opinion and thought.
Sure.
You kind of get lost in it. And I remember talking to somebody about it. She gave me an amazing piece of advice. She said, "Choose something that even if it fails, you are going to be proud of it."
Hmm. Hmm.
As a constraint, and I think there's a lot of power, strength, and to have some sort of limits or box or constraints. She said, to having that constraint actually for me took all the ideas of how to optimize a sales force out of the window, and it made me think about what are the things that I really care about. And for me, it was education. So I
Hmm.
was in part raised by my grandmother. Um, and there's something I will never forget. I remember I was in second grade, and I would come stay with her. And it was after school, so I got dropped off at her house. And I was complaining about all the math homework I had, which obviously, in second grade, you do not have a lot of.
No.
And she says, "I have a story to tell me," which, like, as a second grader, is like the last thing you want to hear. And so she tells me this crazy story. So my grandmother was 16, lived in Krakow. She lived in Krakow in Poland. Her and her mom went on a family vacation. Dad's going to join, stays home a couple extra days to finish work. And while they're on vacation, the Nazis invaded. They took everything and they killed her father.
Mm.
She flees to New York City. Only job her and her mom get is on a factory floor. They're working side by side. My grandma decides she wants to become a doctor. Finds every medical school in the state of New York, applies to every single one by hand. Right, this is before computers. She gets a no from every single one. Keeps working the factory, applies again next year. Gets a no from every single one. Starts calling the deans of admissions and asking, "Why am I not getting in?" They all hang up on her, except for this one guy who says, "I'll be honest with you. You have 3 strikes against you. You are a woman, and you are an immigrant, and you're Jewish." Hangs up the phone.
Hmm. Interesting.
She keeps working in the factory, applies again next year, gets into one school and becomes a pediatrician.
Hmm.
And Nathan, I'm staring at her because at age 8, this is intense stuff to be hearing from just having complained about math homework. And my grandma tries to tell me, and what my grandma then says is, David, the point I'm trying to make to you is education is the only thing that someone can't take away from you.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
that stuck with me, and she was my hero. And for me, what drives me is I don't want to be on my deathbed and hopefully a long period of time and think I didn't try to make the world a bit better. So with that constraint, said, hey, can I make something other people can't take away from others? Can I make it possible for anybody to learn from the best?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that was it was the inkling of the seed for this idea. And so it's interesting how you framed it, because for us, it's not about star power or how famous somebody is. It is about mastery. Now there are some people the best in the world that are well known and household names and famous because of their mastery, but fame in itself is not what we look for. And then there are of course people on the site that you've never heard of who are amazing and wonderful instructors. And so for us, it actually is about that level of mastery.